Hello, everybody, and I'm so excited to see all of you come to my session. Thank you, Ellen, for this wonderful introduction. And I see in the chat box some of my former field and adult ed fellas from Frederick Community College, as well as Strong City. I am so excited to be here presenting at the Virtual Training Institute, and today to talk about adult learners and career readiness, which I think is such an important topic that we bring up because truthfully, as adult educators, workforce and career readiness is one of our top priorities. And it is important for us to open this discussion for some of your thoughts and some of my thoughts and some of the direction that we could potentially take with prepping our adult learners to enter the workforce ready. So a little bit about my current position. As some of you know, I used to be an instructional specialist, and I am currently a senior manager of professional development for the organization that's called SkillsUSA. And some of you might have heard of it. Some of you maybe hear about it for the first time. It is an organization that its mission encompasses its members to become world-class workers and leaders and responsible American citizens. And that is through career readiness, through future skilled workforce. And they develop framework skills, which include personal, workplace, and academic skills to help them succeed. So that seems a little general. And to give you a little snippet, it covers all the career clusters from cosmetology to cybersecurity to manufacturing to architecture, nursing, or anything that you can imagine as a vocation. Those are the career clusters we are preparing them for. But moving on from what I do and from what SkillsUSA does, why we are here is to discuss career readiness in adult education. So my question to you as administrators or to you as instructors, when you hear your students coming to your class, they all come with a strong purpose. And so my question to you, and feel free to drop it in the chat box, I'm ready for a robust and great discussion and hearing your ideas. Why do students enroll in adult education programs? And you can either think of why do you think they do that, or what do they tell you? Why do students enroll in adult education programs? Go ahead and drop it in the chat box. I'm ready to hear some of your thoughts. I see already some great responses. Life-changing event triggered their needs for high school education or improving English, finding jobs that will support them, their families, to get their GED. Yep, I've heard that one quite a ton. Advance their careers, change their life, prove themselves that they can achieve education goals, continue education. They want to be able to speak better, get a high school diploma, get a better job, life change, continue education. Education, further advance their education, their income, improve English speaking skills. To be a role model to their children. That's a great one. Sometimes not even the workforce is so much in place as being a role model. Needing high school education to retire. Excellent, all excellent responses. I think we're all in agreement, right, that they do come with a very strong purpose. I think this kind of differentiates adult education from the K through 12, right? This is not a mandated or recommended thing that they do. They do it because they have this strong purpose of why do I want to do that? And I see some more great responses here. Most of my students want to be able to speak fluent English. Exactly. Coworkers, neighbors, doctors, teachers, and so on. Let's see then, right? So this is exactly what we were thinking about when, as a teacher or as an administrator, when you're enrolling your students in your courses, you'll hear those like very simplistic answers, like, I want to get a GED, right? I want to get a GED. I want to learn English. I want to improve my reading. But very often, just like you were mentioning in the chat box, the thought behind is, I want to advance my career. I want to get a job, or I want to get a better job. So that readiness for them to enter your classroom is directly correlating with their readiness to either enter or advance within the workforce. And that is not, of course, truth for entire population of adult learners, because some of them just want to advance their academic skills. But I would say it is safe to assume that a vast majority do have workforce in their mind as they are enrolling in the classroom. So when they're thinking about, I want to get a better job, I want to get a job, what really is needed? Yes, of course, their English language skills, they need to be up there, right? And able to, in order to be able to participate in the workforce on the level they want to be. Or they do need that GED, right? To get the entry ticket into applying for some jobs. But what is truly needed is that career readiness. Career readiness, and that might mean many things to many of us. So I would like for you to join me in voting with this poll. You can go and take out your phone and scan the code. If you don't have that, I can throw you in the chat box a link to vote, and select a couple of adjectives that you would use to describe a career ready person. Who is that person that is career ready? Who are they? If you were to describe, let's say, Jennifer, she's career ready because she is A, B, C, and D. I will post a link in a second. Yes. And let me please know if you are able to vote. If not, you should be able to vote right now. Let's give us a couple of minutes for voting. And I did post a link in the chat box as well. But I don't see people joining, so it's not in this chat. Oh, I am sorry. I need to click everyone. That is my mistake. Thank you. Thank you so much. There is the link. Here we go. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I'm going to try and fix that right now. It should be able to, okay, I see some of you are voting, so it should be working. Yep. Yep, some of you are voting, so I guess, Are we ready to vote? Oh, I see. All right, I see. Yes, copying and pasting, if you can't access the hyperlink, is probably the best. Also, you can just go to menti.com and use the code, which I can post it here, but I see most of you are posting already, so you are able to. Peg, let me send you this link directly. How about that? Here we go. Now you should be able to get it. All right, I'm getting some great responses here. QR code worked, great. I can show you the QR code again, if that is going to make it easier as well. Here we go. That would be, if you are having problems with scanning, all you have to do is pull up as if you were taking a picture, and it should read the code and open the website right away. All right, let's give us one more minute. I see the QR code is working for you. Here we go. And so let's take a look at some of our results now. I am going to share my screen again, and let's take a look at some of your votes. So we have words such as motivated, prepared, committed, educated, driven, organized, persistent. And if you had trouble working in with the Menti, go ahead and drop it in the chat box. I'll definitely take that into consideration. I just want to gather your input on what do you think career ready person really is, right? Who is that person? And I see that some of you already mentioned educated, organized, motivated. So if you have more thoughts on that, go ahead and drop in the chat box as well. I see Sari goes confident. Yeah, sometimes you're trying to be ambitious with those QR codes and they're just not always working. But I do appreciate some of your collaboration on that. Debbie's saying green, bold, green, bold, excited. Interested. Oh, somebody posted committed, competent, goal-oriented, focused. Oh, green, you mean like not new experience. Okay. That's what I thought. You mean like the career ready person is like, they are ready, but they're still green. I get it. They have perseverance. Excellent. Engaged. All right. Well, thank you so much for your input on that. And why did I ask you that? Because career readiness means something else for everyone. And I see that many of us, we do agree about the aspect of a career ready person being motivated. They're persistent, they're excited, they have responsibility. But not many of us are able to articulate what career readiness is in like this full package, because it means so many things. And as you were seeing, like we were voicing all of our ideas of what it is, and they were different. They might have been kind of crossing over in certain areas, but we just had so much verbiage around it. So that's where SkillsUSA Framework comes really into play. And how they define career readiness is much more concise and it's much more tangible. So they divide career readiness into 3 areas. First one is personal skills. Then we have workplace skills, and then technical skills grounded in academics. And if you take a minute to study that graphics that I am sharing right now, that little triangle, you can delve deeper into what those personal, workplace, and technical skills mean. So for example, when we think about personal skills, a career-ready person will have integrity, they will have work ethic, they will have professionalism, responsibility, adaptability, or flexibility, and self-motivation, which crosses over so well with so many of you that were voting in the poll or dropping in the chat box. You were already thinking these things, but here we have it all gathered and organized. So we know what those personal skills that we need in order to be able to succeed are. And then we're thinking of those like, so those are also known as soft skills, though the industry is moving away from calling them soft skills and moving to calling them career readiness skills, because soft skills indicates that they're easy, right? Oh, just a soft skill, it's easy to learn. But truthfully, sometimes they are much, much, much more harder to learn and acquire than the harder, more technical skills. So when we think about when we can kind of think of those soft skills or career readiness skills that are directly needed, need to be applied in the workplace, those are those workplace skills. So communication, essential, right? In being successful, decision-making, teamwork, multicultural sensitivity and awareness. I mean, especially for adult education folks, they are coming from diverse backgrounds, and for them to have that skill in order in today's workplace. So crucial. Planning, organizing, and management, and of course, leadership. So those are the workplace skills needed to succeed in the workforce. And then we're moving to more technical skills that are still grounded in academics, meaning that they are universal. So no matter if your student is trying to go into nursing, they're trying to go into construction, they are trying to go into childcare, cosmetology, training, HVAC, whatever it is, they are going to need those technical skills that are grounded in academics, such as computer and technology literacy, job-specific skills. So this is what they were going to learn as a part of their curriculum, safety and health, service orientation, and of course, professional development. So we're all exercising professional development right now because we're attending this session, right? And it's all about lifelong learning and trying to be better at your job every single day. So this trifecta of personal, workplace, and technical skills creates a career-ready individual that is very, very, very likely to succeed in their career trajectory. And when I'm thinking about SkillsUSA and that framework that of those 3 areas of skills, it is not just because the people at the organization sat down together and collaborated on creating that. They actually surveyed all of these employers and more. So you can see some big names like Home Depot or Nissan. They collaborated with representatives of all of these companies to create that. So this is something that those employers want. When they are hiring, when they're recruiting, when they're interviewing, those are the skills they want to see in their students in order to offer employment. And they want to see all of them. So let's watch this short video. I think it's a 3-minute video about what this framework really offers in terms of knowledge. And I want to start your wheels spinning a little bit. How can we apply that to adult education as well? And Ellen, let me know if I am screen sharing without sound. Oh, I am sharing with sound. Great.
We're proud to introduce to you the SkillsUSA Framework, emphasizing personal, workplace, and technical skills, which will enable every student to achieve career success. This framework is valuable in overcoming 2 major obstacles we face in the 21st century. First, our skilled labor gap. We know that the most difficult to fill vacancies are for skilled trades workers. You see, the true ratio of jobs in our economy is 1 to 7. For every occupation that requires a master's degree or more, 2 professional jobs require a university degree, and there are over half a dozen jobs requiring a 1-year certificate or 2-year degree, and each of these technicians are in great demand. Yet according to recent surveys, more than 33% of employers have unfilled job openings. They simply can't find applicants with the necessary skills. These are good-paying jobs, too. In fact, Harvard Business School found that 27% of trained skilled professionals earn more than the average bachelor's degree recipient. Success in today's world depends on aligning a student's career with their skills and available job opportunities. Yet there is growing evidence of a skills gap in which many Americans are not receiving the hands-on training that is needed. The second obstacle we face is career readiness. When asked to rate the importance of applied skills to successful entry-level job performance, employers overwhelmingly report consistent responses across all 3 education levels. Research shows that most students are graduating deficient in teamwork, collaboration, professionalism, and work ethic. These most frequently reported applied skills, considered very important by industry, also include oral and written communication, social responsibility, critical thinking, and problem solving. In response to these 2 obstacles, SkillsUSA has created a framework that will give you, as teachers and advisors, a common language that will help students, parents, counselors, administrators, as well as industry to understand the value of SkillsUSA. SkillsUSA is integral to classroom instruction to showcase technical skills, to connect students to employers, and to teach employability skills that are validated by our best partners. Our students often share that SkillsUSA changed their lives, but they can't always verbalize what they have learned or how they are different. The language in our framework enables students to articulate to employers what skills they have developed and how that will benefit their potential employer. The first of three components is personal skills. These include a student's work ethic, professionalism, sense of responsibility, and self-motivation. Workplace skills focuses on teamwork, communication, decision-making, and leadership. Technical skills grounded in academics includes areas such as computer and technology literacy, service orientation, safety, and health. This trifecta of student success has been validated by multiple sources and research studies. The framework centers on industry demands and builds the foundation for relevant, intentional student learning and leadership development. This framework will create a common language nationally for what students gain through their involvement with SkillsUSA. It also provides a vision, enabling us to develop rich experiences, building these skills in all students. Through it, we'll be able to assess and compare student skill development nationally. The intentional guided instruction of framework skills will meet employers' needs and provide true career readiness. But the only way students will develop and use the common language is if we become intentional about its use. SkillsUSA continues to empower its members to become world-class workers, leaders, and responsible American citizens.
All right, thank you so much for viewing the video with me. I see Ellen is, what was the percentage of the employers that have problems staffing? I think it was 33%. Now I have to tell you all, this data is from the very beginning of 2019. So this is unofficial, but just talking to some of our analysts, these numbers are much, much, much higher right now. Some of even say that they might have doubled. And as you know, with the critical, there is a huge crisis in finding skilled labor, and there is huge crisis in finding reliable and workforce ready learners that are ready to enter their professional career. So even though this is like a little bit 2 years ago data, we all know what has happened. Yes, you can find it on YouTube if you want to. I can also drop it in the chat box at the very end with useful links, or you can follow up with me for more. But yes, so just letting you know that this has not included the COVID revolution, for lack of a better term, the revolution that it caused to workforce. But we can only assume that the validity of it is just as valid, if not much, much, much more. So my question is, when you think about this video, I was very concise. How do you, if you were to tell your adult education students who want to enter the workforce, what main takeaway would you take from this video and tell them? What is like the most important, crucial information that you got out of it? Aligning skills with skills gap. Yes, letting them know, and so many of our, for example, ESOL students, they come from different backgrounds, and they might not be aware of the skills gap that is in America, because maybe in their country there's too many workers, there are too many people ready to enter the workforce, and it's hard to find a job in those vocations. Not here, right? The skills gap is huge. That there are really good jobs available with less than a college degree. They need to know about the opportunities. Oh, wow. Okay, great responses here. Let me just, that skills aren't, exactly, also that the skills are not enough, because the other crisis that they are facing is workforce readiness. And the personal skills. I had this gentleman, I have the opportunity to work with professionals from many fields, and this was a very accomplished manufacturing executive. And he said they can have all the technical skills in the work. It doesn't matter if they're not responsible. If they don't show up on time, if they don't follow safety and health procedures, we're gonna get sued and lose everything. So like those skills that are within professional and workplace, they really play the major role, right? to teach and remind employability skills. Oh, some great entries. I would love to read them all out loud. Excellent. So now, when we think about our learners and within our programs, which one, and take a look and study the framework if you want to, which career readiness skills do you think your learners are lacking? What is preventing them from being fully able to experience everything that American job market has to offer for them? What is it that they're lacking when we look at this framework? Thank you, Molly. Yep, exactly. We hear that from employers all the time. You can train, you can teach them how to perform tasks, but you cannot teach the work ethic so easily. I see that some of you are saying they're lacking technical skills, work ethic, all the workplace skills, work ethic, responsibility, sensitivity, organizing, service, communication at the level they'd like. Thank you. Computer literacy, technical skills, teamwork, all the skills. I think that from my experience, and I've been in the adult learning field for a lot of years as an instructor, as an administrator, I would say there are gaps. Every student has their individual gaps, but I would say personal skills and workplace skills were very much in demand to develop in many students, right? And in order for them to succeed, they really would have to start working on them even prior entering the workforce. So like I see some personal skills and self-motivation. And we think that those are, like, for example, personal skills. There's this misconception that you're kind of like born with them, that you're just born being responsible, or you're like born being motivated, or the fact that you would learn those skills very early through observing your family or circumstances and if you didn't have that opportunity to learn them from your parents or your family, that you're lost. That's it. Like, you're not going to be able to learn them in your adult life. That's a misconception. So there are ways to learn all of those skills even later in adulthood. So we all know how employees can benefit from those framework skills, right? We know that they're going to get a better job, and they will be able to not only get a better job, but also advance in the job. I see here some questions, just a second. Peg is asking, are these the same overall skills needed 40, 50, 60 years ago? Is this trend more a matter of that we are analyzing or requiring? So that's a great point, Peggy, because when we think about those workplace and personal skills, one of their value is that they are transferable, right? No matter which job sector you're using, if you're in nursing or cosmetology or cybersecurity, you are going to need to have communication skills, leadership skills, personal skills. So I would say this is one of the goals, is to make them transferable, because adaptability and flexibility is that one aspect that you can take and you can really put into your advantage when you're thinking of a career change. So when we think about employees, right, we all know that those are extremely, extremely useful in order them to land a job, first through interviewing process, and then keep a job through great performance, and then advance in the job using leadership, communication, and teamwork. But how do employers, how do those business partners, how do they benefit from a learner or a student entering with those skills? What's their in? What's their benefit? And go ahead and drop it in the chat box. I think, right, Peg, I think they were always a part of work, but sometimes we just don't realize that. Worker efficiency. Absolutely, Lori, right? Less turnover. There is one word for it that starts with R, and all the employers are super striving for it. If somebody can guess it, I give them an imaginary $1 million. Retention, great, thank you. So, right, so many companies, they're judged by their retention rates. I mean, retention is huge. That's really something that they are striving to improve. So when they do have workers with those skills, not only are they able to keep them and promote them and have them contribute to the organization or company, it also benefits their retention, right? Less loss of productivity, and this all, of course, thank you, Dave, leads to more profit and more progress. And this is what, it's a mutually beneficial arrangement. And I think what is in for our students here is to see that not only are they benefiting from those framework skills, from those personal, workplace, and technical, but the person that is going to hire them is going to benefit from that. And in order for our learners to succeed, they need to articulate that to whomever is hiring them. It's like, you are benefiting from hiring me. Maybe not directly saying that, but also in a way transfer that message. So that already gives them an edge into entering the workforce, seeing that exchange of benefits for them and for the employers. So when we think about teaching those skills, and I know that many of us, we teach language and we focus on the functionality of the language, or we're teaching the GED subjects such as social studies, maths. But when you think about integrating those personal skills or workplace or technical, there are so many little ways that you can foster them day by day. So I would like you to take a look at this framework right now, pick one skill, and share with us how do you currently either teach it or implement it in your curriculum. And we can be just as simple as, I practice responsibility by checking homework assignments every class. This is just a very simple way, but it can be any other multiple hundreds of ways. So pick one skill and tell us how you implement it every day in your curriculum, in your instruction. So this could be a moment for us to share ideas. Great, so case studies to address most personal skills. Great. So case studies are great, right? Because you can have a multitude of those skills within one case study. I say practice work ethic by holding students to be accountable for being late or missing class. Absolutely. Just like I mentioned with that executive that I had a conversation, you can teach them, but you can't teach them to be on time. So practicing that ethic, those work ethic integrity, model communication skills, practicing computer literacy skills and out of class, by attendance. So attendance, that might have multiple, right? Like having high attendance is adhering to responsibility, but also integrity and work ethics. Communication. I see here, I keep all my appointments and I'm always on time. And being able to articulate that and say that is a degree of your integrity, this already puts a student at an advantage of at an interview, for example. Because if they say, oh, I'm always on time, that doesn't cause a lot of like, wow. But if they say, well, I demonstrate my integrity by always being on time, that already triggers a different kind of response. Personal, wow, some great ideas here. I'm just scrolling and reading here, and I really encourage you to do the same, because this might, provoke some ideas to implement in the classroom. What are you prepared to do today? That's a great question. That also kind of goes into the self-motivation, because you're asking them, what are you trying to perform? Oh my gosh, so many great ideas. Integrity with no plagiarism, absolutely. I practice my integrity by committing to create original work. Wow, 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 great responses here. Meditation, I love that. Yes, positive self-talk, exercise. I mean, so many of you have so many great ideas. So I'm glad that you can see, and maybe you were doing so many of those things, but now as you're adding verbiage to it, hopefully you'll realize that all of those activities that you were implementing are of so much value. We think of, I was an ESL teacher for quite some time, and we would teach grammar, and I would always put so much importance on those grammar just exercises and things, and always thinking that those academic skills are so important, which they are, but also having room for practicing those workforce readiness skills in whatever you do just helps you see the value of it. Hygiene, that is a great way to, so right, this is like the in terms of personal skills, not only the professionalism but also work ethic. That's something that we think that is rudimental, but really sometimes needs to be brought up. So when we think about those, and I see so many of you already mentioned, planning, organizing, Debbie is saying, yep, and homework. When we think about everyday workforce skill implementation, and so many of you are already doing it, right? You're already doing it, or maybe you're not even aware of it that you're doing it. But to make yourself more aware, I really encourage you to use that language of framework. Now, not only when we're thinking of our ABE students, the one pursuing a GED or in pre-GED classes, they know those words, most likely. Do they know the concepts behind them? Not necessarily, or not all of them. To give them the context as they're doing it. For example, let's say Jason completed their assignments on time. He was not late, or he was not missing a class this entire month. To tell him that you applaud his work ethic and integrity because he demonstrated this and this and this behavior is going to give him so much more perspective than just saying, great job on not being late, great job on being on time this whole month. It's like, I really appreciate your work ethic because of being punctual. That already starts them thinking about it. And as they hear you say that, they are going to repeat that to their employer, to their coworker, and that will definitely help them advance in their career readiness direction. Now, to our ESOL folks, they might know the concepts sometimes, but they don't know the words. So it is a great vocabulary exercise. If you think of those more intermediate students, they might not know what work ethic is. You can build a whole lesson around those words, this verbiage, practice it. I mean, there are so many great ways to do that. And not only will you enrich their career readiness skills and concepts, but also you will widen their vocabulary. So there's two ways that you could try to implement that. And then encourage them to talk about their experiences while using it, both for ABE and ESL. Instead of them telling you about their last weekend, hey, how about you use one of those words from the framework to tell us about your last week at work? Well, I had to practice my leadership skills because my coworker didn't show up on time, so I had to take their work, and then I had to use my communication and teamwork in order to mend the relationship, for example. And then when we think about having something more tangible as a homework, for example, you could do a list of 5 times I demonstrated and use particular skills, and sort of use those case studies, those scenarios, to show that those skills are a part of our everyday life and they have demonstrated them. And then maybe ask them, what is the one element that you think is challenging to you? Maybe they'll say, many of them will, digital literacy. Can we create an action plan in order for you to improve on that? Some of them say, well, self-motivation. I find it hard to get up every day and not only continuously learn, but work and work hard. How do I improve in that? Maybe I have problems with leadership. Maybe I'm the person that always stands in the back and approves or disapproves with others' leadership, but I will not take it. How do I create an action plan to improve in that? So this would be something that not only prompts their work, but also prompts the reflection. And I think the really good one for an ESL classroom that comes to my mind is ask them about the differences. And they love these questions, right? Whenever you ask them about differences, and I know so many probably asked about food, culture, family relationships. How about the differences in career readiness? What is expected in your country of origin versus expected here? How does that match? Or maybe if you have an ABE classroom, maybe some regional career readiness differences, like for example in Baltimore. So there are many, many ways that you can use simple tricks in order to use that verbiage and get them thinking about workforce readiness. And this is a game idea that I have for you to take it to your class, maybe before Christmas, maybe you're already done with your semester, so maybe in January. And if you have the image of the framework, let's say, and I can provide that for you, if you assign one essential element to each group, let's say it is integrity, or let's say it is self-motivation or communication, and prompt your students to create a story during which a professional failed to demonstrate that skill. So they didn't demonstrate the integrity, they demonstrated the opposite. And then what happened? And just prompt them to be as creative as they can, as funny as they can. What could happen when the integrity is lacking? Let's say an employee stole resources from the workplace, and then what happened? And let them go for it as much as they want to, right? What consequences followed? And then what can that do to be either prevented or to improve in that area? And thinking of 3 steps, and just play together and exchange those horror stories that they come up with. But that makes them think about the importance of those skills and what can happen when they are lacking. So each group having a different one, it can be responsibility, it can be lack of digital literacy, right? What can follow? So, and in turn, work on those self-motivation, because if they see the value, they're going to be more inclined to make sure that they have all of those skills. I see somebody here. Oh, MJ came up with a great idea. Give a job in each group work, leader, moderator, and technical supporter. I love that. That is a great, you can adjust that to your classroom however you want. The purpose of it is for them to see value in it, because they all will tell you, yeah, that's important. Nobody's going to tell, none of the students is going to tell you, yeah, responsibility, not that important. Professionalism, not that important. They will all agree, they will nod their heads, yeah, important. But how do we really perform it in a way that is apparent that this is what we're demonstrating, that we are demonstrating that professionalism, for example. So this is just a little bit to give you a background of how SkillsUSA integrates framework, and this is not something that you would have to do in order to be successful, because just the awareness of those skills, I think, is enough to change your classroom and change your students in the direction of fostering career readiness. And as we all know, the Workforce Innovation, the WIOA Act is really encouraging workforce individuals entering the workforce. But at SkillsUSA, we do it through curriculum. So we have self-guided courses, and we do have lesson plans and tangible resources, but also the pictures show those are the championships and conferences where tens of thousands of students are competing in their career clusters. Here you can see, I think, manufacturing, cabinetry, and cosmetology. They're competing with the judges being industry experts and getting their golden medals, so they are getting that direct feedback on their work. But this is something for your student. This is all open for adult students as well to be a part of as well. So if you have any questions, go ahead. We have about 10 minutes. I would love to answer any of your questions that might be lingering. Maybe you have a question, how do I implement career readiness in my specific classroom, or some case studies, or maybe you want to share your general thoughts about career readiness and your role as a teacher or administrator. Or you can scan the QR code, you can leave me an evaluation, and then if you want me to leave your information, there is a section there to fill out, or you want to follow up with me, there is my email as well. But I am open to questions or general thoughts, just general comments to talk about. And maybe your feedback, did you find those skills to be relevant in your classroom? To be relevant in your classroom, I guess, in the future. And in the meantime, I am just going through. Oh, I see some questions. All right, let's see. Somebody doesn't have Peg, if you wouldn't mind dropping me your email, or I will be able to send the link to the evaluation. See, Debbie is saying that using and teaching the vocabulary would be a great pathway to students. Yes, I think it all starts with the vocabulary, right? Before you delve into curriculums or championships or anything else, I mean, starting to use those concepts is really just the beginning. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you so much for everybody that enjoyed the presentation. Ellen is saying, are you any thoughts on coaching students to be better team players? Interesting. I mean, there are many opportunities for that in the classroom. Now, when we think about, there are specific resources that I have that I could encourage, but I would really focus on, we really underplay the role of tactile activities and physical activities. And I know how this might be a little tricky right now with COVID and trying to keep the social distance. But if you, for example, have a classroom where they are either comfortable or the protocol permits for that. I was a part of a great team building activity not too long ago that would demonstrate teamwork skills. It was create the tallest tower from the resources that you have around yourself. And you have like 2 minutes. And then you're grabbing all the books and laptops, I mean, whatever there is to create the tallest tower. So obviously there is a lot of frantic action following, but then what is the most important part is when you're trying to reflect. So you not only are asking about teamwork, how did you divide your roles? Who was a natural leader? Who was a natural in strategy? What would you do better to create that tallest tower? So like those like physical activities, and then I'm sure you can find many of them online as well. There is really an underestimated value in engaging that, because it gets them going, gets them engaged, and then to reflect on how did that teamwork really play out and see our natural instincts towards being in a certain role really helps to build an efficient team, I think. Oh my gosh, so many messages. All right, well, I hope that I'll have, thank you everybody that enjoyed it. Thank you, Dave. So if you wanted to leave me those emails, I would really encourage that you scan the code, because I am not sure if I don't think I'll have access to that chat box later on. So I would love for you to, yeah, I don't.
So Karolina, I just saved the chat box, and I'll save it one more time since I see more emails popping in, but I will try to save it for you so that you have them.
Right. Yes, I see so many messages. With all the talking that I'm doing, I'm not catching up on reading. Great, MJ. I'm really happy that you found it helpful. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think it's pretty clear from the chat box comments that this presentation was relevant and practical and so needed, right? If we can't prepare our students for the workforce ahead, then we're missing a key component of what it is that we're doing. So Karolina,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much this morning for kicking off day 4 and for being such a willing participant to come back to what was your old community and present your information. So